Most of you have seen by now either a picture or a video of the two young men who threw bombs into the crowd of a recent New York protest. Now, let me say this. Any storyline always has a greater context. I've always said that context is king. There's a greater context here that most of you have missed, that the mainstream news does not share. So let me share with you some items you missed within this storyline. What you're going to see on the screen is you're going to see this woke liberal protester. He's all geared up for battle. He's got his coat, he's got his gloves, he's got his bullhorn out as well. Now, what he's protesting is there's a small group of conservative protesters on the streets of New York City, and they're protesting this, that Islam is incompatible with the West and that Islam is taking over New York City. So that's what they're protesting. So he's now a counter protester to their protesting. Now, with that said, he has no idea that he has an 18 to 19-year-old Islamic terrorist running up behind him, is going to use him as a fulcrum to leverage his height and weight to get over him and throw a bomb in the middle of the crowd. Now, the great news is the bomb didn't go off and no one was hurt, but the intent was to maim, kill, and terrorize, all in the name of Islam. So what he is protesting, it's as if you can't make this story up. It falls right into the hands of what the original protesters are saying. Islam has taken over New York City and it's incompatible with the West. It's as if it was built into the storyline. Take a look.
Born and raised in New York, and we want everyone here to stay in New York. You don't get to come from outside and tell everyone else.
A time moment of the year. It's unbelievable what just happened. It's as if you scripted this to show that the original protesters that were anti-Islamic were 100% right, because we go off the fruit of people's actions, not so much their words. Now, I'm going to show you to the next clip, and I want to show you what Mamdani, the mayor of New York City, who is Muslim, this is his first press conference, literally almost 48 hours after the fact. But I want you to notice what he says and what he doesn't say. Take a look.
White supremacy entitled "Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City." I'm the first Muslim mayor of our city. Anti-Muslim bigotry is nothing new to me, nor is it anything new for the 1 million or so Muslim New Yorkers who know.
Which 1 million out of the 8 million New Yorkers, that's approximately about 13% of the entire population. So context, once again.
This city as our home. Let me also be clear about something else. New York City will never tolerate violence, whether from protests or counter-protests.
He said counter-protest. So the violence coming from the counter-protest. And in that effect, he's calling these Islamic terrorist protesters who were violent. Now, we're not talking a little fisticuffs, a little bit of pushing, a little bit of screaming, some cuss words that are yelling at the protesters, but more than just violence, a bomb that was intended to kill, maim, and destroy.
The counter-protesters met this display of bigotry peacefully, with a vision of a city that is welcoming to all. But a few did not. Two men, Amir, Balot, and Ibrahim Qayyumi, traveled from Pennsylvania and attempted to bring violence to New York City. They are...
Now, notice that he's implying that these are protesters who brought a little bit of violence. If the bomb had gone off, this would have been much larger than the Boston bombing up in Boston, Massachusetts. Once again, also an Islamic terrorism bomb. So when you begin to see the context, Islam is incompatible with our Western values. Islam has taken over New York City. It's as if it was scripted that this is absolutely the case. Well, let me show you also the Daily Mail and New York Post shares a greater context of who these two young men really were. So the first thing you'll see here It says they were self-radicalized ISIS protesters used an explosive called the Mother of Satan inside bombs that were thrown in the Gracie Mansion protest. The reason that they're calling it the Gracie Mansion protest, it's in front of the Gracie Mansion, which is the mansion where the elected mayor of New York lives. So what is the Mother of Satan? What does this mean? Well, the Mother of Satan is a common name for TATP, or triacetone triperoxide, a highly unstable explosive that is frequently used by terrorist organizations like ISIS that are used for IEDs, or improvised explosive devices. The Daily Mail and New York Post continue to also say the New York City bomb suspects were radicalized by the Islamic State. Get this, and they were recently returned from visits to the Middle East. It has emerged. Another clip says that the two pro-Islam fanatics, Ibrahim Qayyumi, 19 years old, and Amir, Balot, 18, both self-radicalized in recent years and traveled to Turkey, other Middle Eastern hotspots. So it comes down to this. Context is always key. They're not just protesters. They're Islamic terrorists who were radicalized by ISIS. So when these conservative protesters are saying Islam's taken over New York City and Islam is incompatible with the West, I think they may be onto something. I think the actions that we see, even in this particular incident in this last week in New York City, here in our country, our largest city in the United States of America, maybe the evidence is showing us that maybe that's true. Well, thank you for coming to our channel. I'd love for you to subscribe, comment, share, and like. Until next time, my friends, faith and honor.